promise.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wild Chats. I am Ryan. That's Maria. I caught her a little bit off guard with the record now button. And it took around
It
too
was my
much.
fault.
Oh God. When I said, "Oh God, we're recording," she thought I was kidding. So,
Yes.
how you doing today, Mar?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. All right. The question for everyone today is: Do did you have an animal or a pet in the past that kind of had a funny thing around eating time? Whether it be a funny thing they like to eat, a funny thing they did while they ate, some little quirk or habit or something. Like I had a friend, his mom's dog, like if you did not hand feed it, it would not eat. That's a little bit of a control thing, and my curiosity was always let's see how long that lasts. But because there's a certain point, I think if you just didn't hand feed it for a day and a half, it would eventually eat. But
That's a very good point.
I've seen animals like kind of like dance while they eat. I've seen animals that like wouldn't eat in the sunlight. I've seen some like
In
quirky.
the sunlight, the
I've just seen
vampires.
weird. Well, I think like there's certain animals that usually would hunt and then take their food back to a cave or something. So
Okay.
I think there is something instinctual about like dogs or certain animals that like to be like in a corner when they eat. Um, so there's certain quirks that seem quirky, and there's certain quirks that maybe kind of are they come
Less
from
quirky.
well they come from somewhere. There's those genes are left over from some point in time.
Gotcha.
So you guys start thinking about that. Like, do you have animals that just kind of have a weird eating quirk? That is going to be kind of our fun and our theme for the day. Mar, how about you?
Well, Pepita's a peculiar one
Okay.
because her dad got her used to putting treats. Like we get her, I used to make her food. So
Okay.
we kind of switch back and forth from making her food to buying food that is wet. She has horrible teeth. I'm looking at her. She's walking around. She has horrible teeth and they have to be cleaned often and she doesn't let you just brush them. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what he does is he breaks this dehydrated chicken, puts it on top of her food like little appetizers. So she
Okay.
grabs her little appetizers, goes, eats them, and then she eats her food.
Okay.
But
So
if
it's
you
like the
don't do that,
garnish parsley on top, and then she just mows down on that because that's the good stuff to her. And then she's like, "Well, I guess I'll eat this other stuff if I have to."
that's basically what happens, which is ridiculous because when I feed her, I'm like, too bad. I mean, eat it.
Yeah, and
And she looks at me like I'm the worst human being in the planet.
that's why she's coughing at you now, is to snarl at you to let you know she's unhappy about something.
Yeah, I had to pay
Well,
her earlier.
did you? So if you guys are just joining us for the first time or haven't heard the stories, Pepita gets paid for everything in Pepita's mind. If you take her outside for an outing, which is you doing her a favor, she expects a payment on return because you were able to get some exercise yourself and be seen with her. So she feels like
Yep.
just about every activity she should be paid for.
According to her, she deserves everything she wants.
So if she doesn't get it, you'll hear her snarling in the background and coughing and letting you know that feels like she deserves a little bit of something something.
Yeah.
Yes,
Peculiar young lady.
yes. Um, some animals aren't they're not always pets. I mean, there's zoos and stuff that have to feed animals. You get baby animals, you find abandoned animals, and you've got to bottle feed certain animals. So that'll be part of the fun today. We're going to be doing domestic animals, wild animals, animals eating ways that you wouldn't expect that they would eat.
Okay.
But I wanted to start off with one that I would almost be afraid to hand feed personally, because if you've
Well,
ever
hold on. What will be, well, you already saw it. What will be an animal be afraid of hand feeding? I think lions.
like a lot of them.
Exactly. I was like, pretty much, I'll be less afraid of feeding three animals compared to the gazillion that exist.
Yes, exactly. There's very few animals that I would actually like voluntarily hand feed, but of ones that I would never think of hand feeding, this one I'm like, ooh, that could get dangerous pretty quick because large birds and raptors, when they eat violently. If you've
They
never
do?
seen one, this is how an eagle or raptor eats. Like,
Oh my gosh, you almost grabbed the hand of the
yes,
person.
exactly, exactly. But that's how they're trying to tear flesh off animals out in the market.
Exactly.
So that's what that beak is for, is to
Woo!
tear. And yeah. So,
Right there when she tries to eat the person's hand, right there.
yeah, she tries to grab back in and get the spoon back. And like, that's a bad idea, lady. Just leave that there. It's fine. Go get it.
They're big. They're really huge and extremely strong and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know that that would be my ideal job. You're like, hey, you're working at the zoo, and they're like, hey, would you like to clean the poop up from the hippos or feed the eagle? I don't know. That might be kind of a toss up for me. Neither of them.
feed the eagle every day.
Yeah,
Every
I'm
day.
probably leaning towards feed the eagle, but it's not a no brainer after seeing videos like that, where it's just like, because she's holding the food back. All the eagle has to do is try to go get it. And she's in trouble because once it's like, oh, wait, no, I don't. Wait, why am I waiting for you to spoon feed me? You've got a whole bowl of it sitting like
That's
two and
the
a half.
thing that I found really bizarre that they were holding the animal to feed it. Like just put the food down and toss it around and just let them.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's some kind of rescue or in some kind of rehab situation or something like
I'm
that.
sure.
This is necessary, but um, guys, I pick the clips that I enjoy, that I find funny, that inspire me, whatever it might be, but I don't ever really go back and try to get like the background and stuff on it. So if you guys know like what that situation is, if you have any experience with large raptors, or to me, this I'm assuming is some kind of rehab thing where
He
this is
looks like it.
necessary. But hey, as always, comments down below. Let us know. We love anybody that's got more information than us. If you know something about one of these clips, comments down below. The only videos
Yes.
we like get super prepared for, opposed to just like having fun, are the new fact videos. You guys asked for them, so you got them. One came out yesterday, actually. So if you guys want more fun facts about particular animals, we're doing like individual videos. We run through facts, then we run through stories, and then Mar and I do some fun quizzes at the end. We'll probably do one in this video too for the heck of it, because
Ah, he
I'm starting to
tortures me.
enjoy them. I think they're just fun. So now
They're really fun.
I'm gonna start throwing them into these videos a little bit too, just because I think the audience enjoys doing them too. But you guys can
Yeah.
check out the fact videos if you want all the like, just give me info, give me info, give me info. Those are probably for you.
Feed me with
Yes,
Twizzlers.
exactly. Feed me. Okay, so I haven't decided whether this next clip is ultimate laziness or ultimate cleverness. So I would like
Ooh.
you and the audience to weigh in on what they would deem this to be. So
Oh
the
my goodness.
duck gets a ride on top of the fish, so he doesn't even have to paddle.
Swan, swan.
Swan. And then he grabs the food and with his long neck just leads it out in front of the fish, so they have to like keep carrying him where he wants them to go. He can just lead by the direction of where he puts the food, it feels like.
I wonder if he's wetting it because he's grabbing a bunch of it.
Uh-huh.
Then he needs to spit it out so that he can actually do a little bit at a time, and that the fish already know that. Because I doubt that he's being philanthropic.
You don't think so?
I don't know.
I
That's
saw
just
another I saw another video on that really similar to this. It was a duck and he was under like, I don't know where he got the food, but he was literally just feeding the fish. Like he was just picking up grain from a bowl and dropping it into the water. It had nothing to do with him eating or anything. He was just feeding the fish. Like you'd see a human at a pond.
I think the part that I one of the reasons why I think that he was trying to feed is because then he lifts his neck. So I don't know if he finished
Oh.
spreading all the concentrate food and then just has one bite, but the fact that he lifts his neck leads me to believe that he's either drinking or eating whatever was
Okay.
left.
So you think the head back was more him just putting it down his gullet. I thought the head back was just like, well, I gave all the food to the fish and now I'm just relaxing and I'm done. This is like my resting position.
I didn't see it that way, but what do I know? You
Okay.
know,
No, again, that's the fun part. Like you could watch the video and it's like, okay, well, that he's clearly grabbing it, and then he dips down, and then the fish are swarming. The fish usually swarm once the food hits the top of the water.
But just the fact that he did that neck thing is
Okay.
what I will have thought. But he
Okay.
could be feeding them. I just what I
He
love is
gets,
how
he
he
gets
lifts
his
his
head around
legs.
and then just looks to the right. I just love that he rides in on the fish, and then he puts his neck out there to where he wants the fish to go, and he can essentially steer them by where he drops the food. And then he just keeps the piggyback ride going within the pond.
I just love that they're not biting his feet.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty neat because those fish, some fish, could be very dangerous to small ducks and things like that. Like they could really bite them off.
Well, it just depends on what they feed on. You go to they've got those like fish baths and stuff where you put your feet in there and they eat off all the dead skin and stuff like that. If you ever go to
Have
like
you ever done something like that?
I didn't do it. I mean, I've been around them a ton of times, but I don't know. To me, I was just like that. Just doesn't feel that interesting to me. I don't really
I don't know
like.
if I can handle the tickling. Like I'm
That's the
not sure.
thing. Yeah, part of tickling, and then I've said this before, but I just like even though I can clearly see them in the water, I still have a thing about things under the water kind of grabbing me or touching me and stuff. It just kind of it doesn't freak me out, but it's just kind of like it doesn't appeal to me. It's not like one of those tourist things where I'm like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go do that. That's awesome." Like fish eat my feet, swim with a dolphin. I'm probably picking swim with a dolphin. There's not,
I guess no, for you it'll be swim with the elephant.
well, yeah. I mean, that would be, yeah. How cool would that be? Like riding the elephant in the water and then like diving off with your snorkel or like swimming. That would just be so cool. You could like ride it, swim with it, dive under it like that. Yeah, that's
That reminds me of a video of rescue place that had a dog. I
okay.
think
A
it was
rescue
a
place had
very
a dog? Are you sure?
pardon.
It's a pretty rare animal for a rescue to have a dog.
I know.
Okay.
And he
Okay.
had an elephant,
Okay.
and they were both friends, and it was just so cute to see
Oh,
them playing.
yeah, that black lab or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the dog would like dive off the back of the elephant and stuff. Yeah, that was really cool.
I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just so adorable.
Yeah, basically, I would want to be that black lab because you like got to
I
ride
know.
the elephant, then dive off of it, then hang out with him. Yeah, yeah, that would
When
exactly.
you said that, I was thinking when you said something about jumping and coming, I'm like, oh, that video, that's you. That's what you want to be.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yep.
um, all right, let's see. So our next one that we have for funsies here,
For
just
funsies.
because Maria loves big cats, I have to throw in like I've missed big cats a couple times in the last couple videos. Though this is one where I want everybody to weigh in whether is this cool or is this cruel? I
Okay.
haven't decided. I'm it's fun
Um,
to watch them do this, but like they're trying to put on a show because I you hear the announcer really quick. So it's like they're not even gonna let these cats get this thing. They just want to show off to the audience them jumping trying to get it.
okay, so dos, cuatro, there are like five of them.
Yes.
Um, sorry, I can only count in Spanish as you could
That's okay.
clearly hear me.
That's okay.
Um, I think it would be cruel if at the end they didn't get paid.
Okay.
I think that would be cruel. And
Okay.
if they knew they were not gonna get paid for it, they probably wouldn't do it. But their instinct as an animal is to hunt. The same thing you will do to a cat. In fact, we do that to cats all the time. If you think
Yeah.
about it, we
Yeah.
play with their toy. We think we make them believe it's it's a prey, and we make them play with it and not necessarily pay them. They still had a great time.
Okay. All right.
So I'm going with the same thing we do to small cats.
Okay.
The best thing would be to feed them at the end so it's a reward and they get
Yeah.
more excited to go and do it.
Okay. Okay. It's always fun to ask Maria these questions because sometimes I get surprised and then sometimes she just gets so morally torn, like she doesn't know which way to go with it. But there's no like hunter and huntee involved in these clips, so that one was a little bit
Easy.
easier. Um,
Not like the one with the chicken and the crocs.
Yeah,
Oof.
I had that. Like, it fits so well into so many different topics we do. But I'm like, even though there's three different versions of stuff like that, it's like, okay, no, I don't need to keep tormenting poor Maria with that. That it's like, oh, this is catering, is what the crocodiles are thinking. They're just like, oh, it's fantastic. Somebody brought the food. That's lovely.
No, I'd rather have duck. I don't want
Right.
chicken.
Right. Yeah. Now they're gonna get picky. No, they're just lazy. I do have one. No, I'm gonna save it. It's coming up. It's coming up. Not in this round. It's in a future video. But it was another like slightly cruel and slightly funny. But we're gonna save it. So
Ah, he does
here's
all
a
the
fun.
advertising for it.
Yeah, and it's such specific advertising too. It's like, hey, there's a video coming up in a future video that you'll probably enjoy, but it might be yeah, okay. Do not
Yeah, repeat
hire
the
me
whole
to
thing.
advertise any important products or anything, because clearly, yeah, no. Um, and today I'm drinking water from the tap.
And I'm drinking tea. I
Yeah,
made another one. That's what you caught me doing. Is I made a new pot of tea, but I overfilled it. So I put the lid on, but I didn't put it tight. And I was thinking,
gotcha,
what if I forget and start
gotcha.
serving it? And while we're recording, I flood the entire desk. So I decided to remove the lid, and that's what happened when you caught me.
So basically, had I started the recording like 15 seconds sooner, we could have had a good blooper right now of just watching you go.
No, I wouldn't be doing that, and it would
Okay.
be boiling hot.
Oh,
But
okay.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I
Okay.
usually put it on my cup, wait for it to cool down a little bit, and then I'll drink it. But I didn't want to put half the lid half on and then
Gotcha.
not remember.
Gotcha. Okay,
Mhm.
here's a fun hypothetical question for you then. If you were going to pick an animal to bring you food that you then had to cook, like basically they're your like delivery grocery service.
Okay,
Like, yo, this animal, I need some food.
they're not gonna go hunt for it.
No, no. Hot. You can construe the question however you want. That'll be the fun of the hypothetical questions. Is always like, well, is it the smartest animal that could walk through Walmart and pick out the right stuff, or do I go with like the dolphin because at least I know I'm gonna get a bunch of fish? If I pick my cat, he might bring me dead birds. He may not be the best like delivery. So like kind of however you want to take the question is up to you. But if you were going to pick an animal that basically was your food delivery service and that was the food that you had to eat because that's what they brought, who would you pick?
Well, when you first posted the question, my brain went immediately to one of my favorite things, which is tea.
Okay.
There is a monkey who used to pick tea. There was a type of tea, a variety of tea called monkey picked.
Okay.
So when you first asked about it, because I had been just talking about tea, my brain went straight to, ooh, I would love to have one of those monkeys to pick the tea for me.
Okay.
And then they also can climb to get coconuts.
Yeah.
And then they could be strong enough, like orangutans that been seen harpoon fish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, ooh. But again, monkey is a very easy one. I was just thinking because of the agility that they have,
That's fine. But they're smart
that
too. You could actually train them to probably like in some basic way pick up a grocery list at Walmart. I'm sure that there would definitely be a way to train them to do that. No, I mean that it's the obvious pick, but I like that you kind of took it in different fashions. Like it's smart enough to train to pick up something, but it could actually hunt. But it could actually. You're right. There's monkeys that do coconuts and bananas. Like people have hired them to. Okay. I mean, it's obvious, but I like that you kind of took.
well, I went because of the tea. So I remember the monkey picked tea.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
that's my brain went straight to monkey picked tea.
Gotcha. Because sometimes it's like the other way around, and then it's just like ultimate laziness for the animals. They're just like, hey, hey, cool, humans, bring the food. Bring the food, humans. All right,
Oh,
we're set.
orphan rhinos. Let's see if I
Yeah,
guess right.
probably. Could be hippos. Elephants.
Oh, excuse me. I'm taking this on my own.
I've never seen an elephant drink from a bottle. That's so cool.
Oh, that is adorable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured once they had the bottles that it was going to be a sanctuary, but I don't know why I was thinking rhinos. Just because of the size of the bottle, I knew it was a
Yeah.
big one of the
Yeah,
big
you think one of
ones.
the big animals. And I didn't want to play the audio just for all the audio reasons, but they actually were chanting a little song before they fed them. So it was pretty cool
Oh,
too.
look how
Yeah.
happy they are. What a
Mhm.
beautiful, beautiful thing. It's just so sad that they're orphans. And that's why
Yeah.
they're at the rescue. But how wonderful it
And
is
look at his
that
little
there is a
tusks.
rescue for them.
I like his little tusks though. That was awesome.
They
His
look
little,
huggable. They look like
little
she's
teeny tiny
gonna.
baby tusks. I think
I
my favorite
know.
part
Look
though
at
is
him. Ah,
little teeny tiny tusks.
that
My
is
favorite.
very adorable.
I do like the let's see. I like where the first elephant kind of comes over and just like initially like there right there just immediately curls it and then like tilts it back. Where it seems like they kind of have to help some of the other ones just because most people don't realize it takes young elephants a while to actually like figure out using their trunks. Like these guys are fine, they're old enough, but you'll see videos on the internet where basically they're just like twirling their trunks or they're blowing bubbles. Like it takes, it's like a muscle they've got to get used to figuring out how to use.
You see, in fact, in the back, you can see the guy trying to hold the bottle and look at how he
Yeah,
moves
he's
the
trying to
trunk,
move the trunk and teach him how to wrap it around the bottle.
which it goes right perfectly with what you were saying. And then
Uh huh.
there's some in the back, you can see they're a little smaller,
Uh huh.
elephants that are a little smaller, that the guy is trying to just, okay, wrap it this way.
Exactly. Exactly.
I was
Um,
watching, looking at a video about, they were saying that elephants are very destructive, and sometimes they are. If there is an overpopulation of certain areas, they may actually tear the chain link fences, the fences off.
mhm.
But they were showing a picture of this female who likes to go really, really far away from the reservation, and she actually walks over all the fences without destroying any of them.
Oh.
And it was just so adorable to watch. Like, no, not all the elephants are destructive. And we're talking about African elephants who are taller and
Yeah.
bigger. But it was just so cool to see they were following her and she's just lifting her big legs. And
Oh, so
it's
they
just
weren't fences
adorable.
meant to contain the elephants. It was meant they were just like property fences or something.
Yeah, they were property fences.
Okay, okay. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
whoever put up those fences did a bad job. If the elephant could just step right over it.
Yeah, it was more like property lines. She was
Gotcha.
infringing about people's private property.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, I've
No
seen
elephant, no pachyderm parking. No pachyderm parking.
no, okay. No packing and parking on the dance floor. I gotcha. I gotcha. Baby elephants are awesome. Like we've shared this fact before in a different video, but like elephants will actually just like babies, they'll soothe themselves by sucking on their trunks, just like a baby sucks on its thumb and stuff. Yeah, they're really cool animals. Um, so sometimes though, you don't just get your food handed to you. Sometimes you have to go out and make an effort and hunt. You
Like
you
most
don't
animals.
you don't have a duck that's just riding on your back, feeding you some grain he picked out of a bowl, or someone spoon feeding you pieces of a meat. You have to actually go out and make an effort. But there's a active way of doing this, and there's a really lazy way of doing it.
Ooh. If you're involving a pelican.
If I'm involving a pelican, no, but I am involving what a pelican would eat. But
Okay.
again, is this lazy or is this clever? I'm not sure which way I want to classify this.
Oh
It's trying
gosh.
to be stealthy. I don't quite know.
He just stole something, but what was it? Was it a dead fish?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. The thing is I couldn't tell because of the design of the thing. Like I couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
But
Once he
it
gets
was
to the
clearly it's
ground.
clearly a fish.
Yeah.
That's pretty adorable. That was very clever.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That was really clever. And not necessarily lazy.
No.
He's thiefy. He's very thiefy. I know that's
Yeah,
not a
very,
word.
very
I just made it
stealthy
up.
because he was like, I'm gonna check it out, but I'm right out in front of everybody, and it's pretty obvious what I'm sniffing, opposed to just like boom, grab it and go. It was kind of like, am I going to get away with this? Is anybody watching me? I'm actually going to get away with this. Okay, fine. If no one's going to
Let's
stop
do
me.
it.
And then he grabs it and takes off.
That's adorable. Cats are just very interesting because you can tell in it also could have been that they give him stuff so he knows what's up there. He has because he didn't necessarily look afraid, but he knew how to do it. Like he has done it before. Like he probably does it all the time.
They have a really good sense of smell too, so I'm sure he got the whiff of what was in there. So.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I was wondering if it involved pelicans because pelicans are so smart in the way they hunt.
Yeah.
Not only do they dive, and unfortunately, as they get older, they become blind, and that's how they end up basically passing away because they cannot hunt anymore. But another way pelicans started hunting was literally waiting for the comrades or other birds to hunt. And as
Mm-hmm.
soon as the comrade will grab the fish, then the bigger pelican will come and steal it.
Yeah. Yeah. You just let somebody else do the work for you. I don't think people get how difficult it is because of the way light refracts with water. It's actually really impressive for an animal to be in the air and actually locate properly where a fish is underwater, taking into account the light refraction of where he needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people on some islands that actually did it was like dive spear fishing, and they would talk about how it seems really cool that they're doing it, but it's actually very very difficult because you have to almost do mental math in your head to know, okay, this reflection at this angle means the fish, I need to actually put the spear in like 3 feet ahead of, 1 foot ahead of where I need to
He
be.
looks here, but he's actually here.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is one of the really impressive things about when you see these birds kind of dive bomb from the air and grab fish alone, it's impressive. But when you think about like kind of the geometry that has to be considered for them to actually be successful, to me it just makes it all the more impressive. And then there's
I
other
agree.
animals and other birds that their hunting and feeding style is a little less impressive because you're kind of like, what are you doing, guy? What? But you couldn't figure out the refraction of the water, nor unless you're saving. Oh, you're saving it for later. Oh, this is like leftovers.
He
Okay.
does it on purpose. Do you see that? He like did it on purpose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes from looking like the dumbest bird in the park, of you could just eat the thing that's around you, to actually turning into the smartest bird in the park of, oh wait, hold on, you're taking it home with you. Okay.
That
Okay.
is like that is incredibly clever. That is incredibly clever. And the thing is, most people think pigeons are they call them the rats of winged rats because they do have a ton of diseases and a ton of critters. Ugh. But they're very smart. They have adapted really well to fight predators. So they
Mhm.
actually like literally dive straight down and last minute they go very maverick style. And
Well, I think it's
this
also the rats of the sky part also just comes from just the amount of them. Like pigeons can kind of like just the way that they just populate an area. I mean, there's so many rats in like New York and New Jersey and stuff that you just don't see them because they like dark, small areas. But like the pure number of them is absolutely ridiculous. Uh,
mhm.
on top of the pure size of them, you just wonder if they're like tiny cats or just ridiculously large rats. Um,
Possums.
right, right.
Is that a possum or is that a what was that? Is that a
Let's get
cat?
much closer to the fanged thing and decide what it is while I examine this disease-ridden. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, no. Okay, so if you would have your chimpanzee bring you your food, if you had to pick an animal as a chef that is not a primate, who's cooking your food for you? You're just sitting on the couch and you're like, you know what? Monkey brings it.
Crow.
Crow. Crow is cooking the food. Okay. Okay.
Ryan is like, how do you come up with that one?
I'm just kind of like, okay, its little beak can like push the buttons on the microwave. All right, so you get
Not only
microwave.
that, but they're so smart and they use tools. So I was thinking of who will be able to flip something or who will be able to figure out how to do things.
And
And
you
I
could,
would bet on a crow.
they are very trainable animals. You're right. You're right. Could they like turn on a gas knob? Is there like enough strength in their little footsies to like?
Dude, I'm sure we could figure something out if that was the case. Like
Gotcha.
something they can push.
Okay. Oh, okay. So now you're modifying your kitchen so the crow can. Okay, that's fair.
If
That's
we're gonna have food pickers and chefs that are of the animal kingdom and
okay.
that will be a reality, I will modify my whole house. Like no
Gotcha.
problem.
Okay. Okay. All right. You just hopefully the plate isn't too heavy to bring it over to you laying on the couch doing nothing as
You
you're.
didn't say anything about having them brought though.
No, no, I didn't.
But
I didn't. I didn't. I guess we could have like a third concierge animal that's just like, okay,
poly system.
yeah, just throw it on the back of this
Poly,
llama
not
that's
poly.
hanging
Not
out.
poly.
Okay.
Poly.
Pulley, like pull,
Oh,
P,
pulley.
pulley. Yeah, yeah.
Pulley. Not
Polly's
poly.
a bird's name that wants a cracker. That'd be Polly want a cracker. Yeah, that was. But you were on the bird mentality with the crow, so you got stuck in the Polly one. I gotcha. I
Thank you.
see the mental tra-
Conundrum.
transition there. So since we're talking about essentially domesticating animals to like bring us food and cook and everything for you, we'll get into a little bit of a quiz question for you. What was the first animal humans domesticated?
I thought it was a cow, but it could have been the dog. Like you will think the dog will be the most practical. I will go with I will go with a dog.
Okay.
Cows will make more sense, but
Okay. So it's kind of a two-parter, and your brain is kind of on the right track. So we did domesticate wolves essentially just because they became a companion. And
yes.
some dates go all the way back to 30,000 years ago. Like Paleolithic dogs, like not even like current wolves, like late Pliocene canines. They found some evidence in like human hunting camps of that these animals were probably domesticated.
Wow.
As you get more current, like 12,000 years ago and stuff, there's a distinction between a dog and a wolf, and it's really easy to tell by the bone structure. Yes, this was a dog, so clearly they were domesticated by this point. But once you go back to a time where there's really no differentiation between the wolf and the dog, it's just a domesticated canine of some sort. It gets a little tougher. So
Hmm.
that was more out of companionship. But you're right. The next group of animals that were actually domesticated for like working and food purposes is kind of a separate category. So are you going to go with cow on that one? Or do you have another category or guess?
The chicken or the egg or a cow. The cow or the milk, the chicken or the egg.
Hey, egg, go do this work for me. Hey, egg, come over here and take care of
Edgar, Edgar.
that Edgar. What show is that from? I forgot. Okay. So those are your final your guesses.
I'm gonna go with a cow.
You're going with cow.
Yes.
Cow did actually not even make the like initial list. So if you go back to about 11,000 years ago,
Okay.
it's sheep followed shortly by goat. So like sheep and goat are the two biggies. And that's all in Southwest Asia. And then after that, in Southeast Asia, right around the same time, like maybe 1,000 years later,
Hmm.
you get your chicken. So sheep, goat, then chicken. I didn't get the
That's so
deep.
weird because I would have never thought of sheep or goat, but they are smaller. They should be easier to domesticate.
The reason, so that's a good point, and it's not because of size. The easiest animals to domesticate were herbivores because they can graze on vegetation. You don't have to feed them. So you're not
Exactly.
hunting for your food and then the food to feed. That's why dogs are more of a companion than an actual like domesticated work animal. They just happen to be around.
That's why I went with a herbivore like a cow,
Yeah,
because I thought, they're such gentle. Like I actually thought goats, not sheep, goats, they're much more feisty. So
but I
that's why I went with
yeah, it
cow.
depends what part of the world you're in though, because
That's true.
depending on your environment, it's like you kind of either have sheep or goats depending on what part of the world you're in. But
Hmm.
I even mix those two up too pretty frequently. I think it's the rule of thumb is like goats' tails point up and sheep's tails lag down. So if you're ever questioning, is that a goat or a sheep? It's pretty easy when you think of the traditional super woolly sheep. You're like, oh, that's clearly a sheep.
Yeah, but
Uh,
you're right. There's some goats.
but as I've been looking for animals for some of these videos that we've been doing, like I've had to I'm like, I don't know if that's a sheep or a goat. Like I don't know how to present this video clip. Like, is that a bunch of sheep? Because there's so many different types of sheeps and goats. It's not just like the super woolly sheep and then everything else is a goat, and then they both
So the
jump.
chamois that you were showing when we're talking about food, you were
Yeah,
showing a golden eagle hunting a chamois. Is that a goat?
I think it's yeah, it's like a mountain goat essentially, like
Okay.
a breed of mountain
Oh
goat.
my gosh, guys, that was from,
I don't
which
even
video
remember.
was that
Oh,
from?
the unexpectedly strong animals. Because it literally like that eagle like picks up that yeah, guys, if you want to see something impressive, you hear those like stories or like urban myths about like eagles or birds stealing babies and puppies and stuff. Definitely possible after you see this thing try to pick up this goat. It's pretty crazy.
It was such a shock for me to learn that, because it wasn't necessarily about physically, like when you think of somebody hunting something, oh, the eagle will, grab the animal and take it. It's just the way that eagle did it was even scarier. It wasn't just about doing this, it was about, whoops, off you go.
Yeah,
Whoop.
the hunting strategy that Maria's talking about is their goal isn't to like pick it up and fly away with it. Their goal is to pick it up and throw it off a cliff. So when the animal dies, then it can pick at the animal at the bottom of the ravine, essentially. So the scene is this eagle riding this animal, trying to pick it up and carry it, and yeah, it's
Which
some
will show us really well that hunting or that grabbing style of that bald eagle you were showing us there. And
yeah.
then it will explain very well why they do like what they do. But I tell you, that clip to me was beautiful, scary, surprising, and horrible all at once, all
Hmm.
together.
Yeah,
That's a
for
conundrum right there.
for sure.
Hmm.
Uh, do you want to take a swing? There's one last piece of the quiz question at when cats were domesticated.
Do we have domesticated cats or they just tolerate us?
Okay, do you want to take a guess at the year the about time in history that cats domesticated us?
Yes, 12,000 years ago, I bet.
It
I
was
know they
seven.
were domesticated much, much later, but it was cool because the Siamese cats, they were from the kingdom of Siam in Thailand. And
Mhm.
they used to be guard cats. They were mousers, but they were the guard cats because their meows were so loud, the
Oh,
way
okay.
they meow. So the Siamese cats were actually used as guard
Interesting.
cats.
Interesting. Yeah, it's right up there with donkey. When I found out that donkeys are really good guard animals, not just because they have such distinctive wail. Of course, that's like a great alarm clock alert signal, but just because of how alert they are and how smart they are and that protective nature that they have, I didn't realize how great and like a guard animal a donkey was until we started talking about that in the
Mhm,
past. I had
mhm.
actually a fact that I wanted to use in the last video that I didn't get a chance to use when we were talking about dogs and cats.
Okay.
Um, and it kind of plays in here a little bit of do you want to take a guess which one or how many times dogs and cats are mentioned in the Bible?
Hmm.
And then I have a question about like why that. I have a theory about why the answer is the answer.
I would think dogs were mentioned more because they have been domesticated for so much longer, and the Bible was meant to be a tradition told from many, many generations until it was put into a book. So
Okay.
dogs will have been mentioned more than cats. Cats perhaps once. If actually no, I will say cats were not mentioned at all.
Why would you say not at all? I mean, they were around when these stories were taking place.
Yeah, but they're not, if they're meant to be mousers and, you know, plus in some traditions, cats were seen as unclean. Like for some traditions, cats are like the no type of animal that you
Okay.
should have as a pet.
Interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
So you got the answer right. The cats are not mentioned at all. Dogs, I think it was like 11 times or something like that. I'm not going to pull the fact up. It was just more the dichotomy of like dogs are mentioned a decent amount and cats aren't mentioned at all. So your philosophy is just cats kind of unclean, cats not around as long, not that relationship built up. When I read the fact, this was my thought. I have no basis for this whatsoever. It is a pure guess, but it's my guess. Um,
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer done. Cats were so revered in Egypt,
Mm.
like royalty almost. Like cats, like you couldn't do anything to a cat. It was like considered high crimes to like offend cats and stuff. Like the Egyptians like viewed them like that. And if you look at that history with Egypt and the members of the Bible, I'm wondering if because cats were so revered to the Egyptians, that's why the writers of the Bible left them out because that's kind of their, I don't want to say like oppressor society, but it kind of was. Like it was.
Interesting.
So I was kind of I'm like, I wonder if cats got left out just because they were so popular to the Egyptians. It was just a little bit of a, well, we're not even going to talk about those. I don't know. I have no idea.
Hmm.
Just a
One of my
thought.
cats, one of my cats was an Abyssinian, which is
Okay.
from the breed of cats that the Egyptians will revere. And
Hmm.
then my other cat was a Siamese.
Okay. Okay.
So I had two very revered cats. They were mutts.
Yes.
They were
Yes.
rescued,
And
but
now you own a Chihuahua, which were kept up the sleeves of the emperors and stuff. I mean, yeah, you definitely picked the spoiled breeds, didn't you?
I didn't mean to. They picked me, honestly. I didn't. It's not like I went to the store. I'm like, I want this cat. No, I was volunteering for the SPCA, and I saw my cat Apollo, and I'm like, I'm gonna take you. You're my cat. And
Yeah.
then Petunia was one of those like, okay, perfect. Nobody, you've been there in the shelter for 6 months. Let me take you. And then Pepita just literally just showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
She doesn't have any
That's the
name.
summary.
Okay. All right. Since we're talking about dogs and Pepita, I don't think this is Chihuahua, but do you want to see the a cute video of one of the happiest dogs you'll ever see eating something in
Of
your entire life?
anytime.
Yes, this
You
is
mean
it.
happy, dog, cute?
Yes, happy dog cute eating. This is absolutely adorable. I'm sorry. Look at that. Look at this guy. Look at that smile. He's like, I got pizza. I got pizza.
That is actually a mixture of, that's not a Chihuahua. That looks like a
No, that's what
mixture
I'm
of
saying. It's not a Chihuahua. I disclaimer it's not a Chihuahua.
God, good. Look at
It
that.
almost looks like part of his smile. He's just so content.
And his eyes are closed and he's just there. This is perfect. Now,
Zen.
how is he gonna eat that is the question of this century. How
That
he's
might
going
also
to
be
eat
why
that.
his eyes were closed. He was trying to figure that answer out also, but it just looked like the
But
pizza was
it's
smile. It was
interesting because Pepita, we were watching her yesterday and she closes her eyes when she eats too. And I wonder if that is, and I've never paid attention to this, so I am not 100% sure, but it will make sense. So again,
Mhm.
disclaimer, but I wonder if it's in their nature to close their eyes because they don't want to get, they're usually carnivores. So
Yeah.
most likely, so they don't get dirt or a bacteria into their eyes, maybe they do close it when they eat. And I just never noticed.
Or if their prey is not completely dead yet and actually tries to take a swipe at them, you're protecting your eyes by at least closing them while you eat.
You know what? That's an interesting point of view there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have any background on that, but most of the times when animals do something, it usually is a protective thing if it's a weird thing. Like, you can always tell if a dog is comfortable with you, usually, because they'll expose their belly and sleep on their back, or they'll sleep on their side, or sleep next to you curled up. But if they're insecure, they're always stomach on the ground because that's protecting their internal organs and stuff. So they usually, yeah, a lot of animal behavior does break down to protection or comfort.
And another cute thing, speaking of that, yesterday also I was noticing Pepita, we were eating, and she actually sat facing the door. And
Okay.
when animals do that, is they're guarding you because their behavior is, I'm giving you my six.
Yeah.
You're eating, I'm guarding you guys. Like I'm making sure you're okay because
Yeah.
when you're eating, you're lowering your guard.
Yeah.
Usually, when animals eat is when they're most vulnerable. So
Yeah.
it was just very adorable to see her because she was just facing the front entrance of the house while we were eating.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was very adorable how community animals will do that too, as they're all feeding and they take turns, or some allow, like in some birds, the younger eat just to make sure everything is okay, and then the elders will go. Like
Yeah,
they'll
it
have
is
somebody
interesting.
to test the food.
Yeah, it is a little interesting the logic on the yeah, you get lions where it's like the dominant one eats first and then other animals let the babies eat first. But again, a lot of that is survival strategy stuff. So I would assume that animals that have a lot of offspring would probably let their young eat first. So if there's something wrong with the food, they can make more offspring. Like you've got 10 kids if one doesn't make it, opposed to an adult. Where lions and stuff, you only have a couple cubs per round. So yeah, that is
Not only
interesting.
that, but they also hunt their food, and most likely, if they hunt, like a couple of days ago, there was a lizard outside, and there was a dead bug upside down.
Okay.
The bug had not fully passed away,
Okay.
but you can tell that the lizard was very curious about it. The interesting thing is it didn't go at it because it was already upside down. They knew something was wrong. It was either poisoned or maybe sick. So
Okay.
they don't go for the semi dead. They
Yeah.
literally go for the hunt, because if it was a good hunt, that means that animal was also healthy enough to be able
Gotcha.
to fight it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense though. That's, I mean, they always say like there if you're out in the wilderness, if especially if you're on horseback or something, always drink wherever your horse drinks because
Yep.
horse. I don't know if it's a smell thing or what it is, but they do have an instinct for clean water versus not clean water. So following where animals decide. And then, the flip side of it is if there's water and then there's a carcass on the other side of it, probably don't drink that water. Just a rule of thumb if you're out in the
Yeah,
wilderness.
that makes kind of sense. There may be some giardia in it, whatever.
Whatever. I mean, either it died from the water or it's causing the water to be bad. Either way, rule of thumb. I don't know.
But it is a good survival strategy if you think about that. If you ever get lost in the wilderness, it's kind of nice to see what other animals may eat. Now the problem is birds may eat things that are poisonous to you, but not to them. So then they have the test, where you apply whatever leaf or fruit on your skin, wait to see if there is a reaction. If there is
Okay.
not a reaction on your, because this is such a tender part of, this is my burn arm. Look how good it looks now.
Yes.
It's such a,
Mine's not much better. I think that's there for good now on mine.
mine, look how good it looks.
You're getting there.
Anyway, so you rub the fruit or whatever it is on your arm. Nothing happens in 15 minutes. Then you do it on your lips. If nothing happens, then most likely you could eat it.
Okay.
Most likely.
Okay. And then if it swells your lips up, you then bottle that and start selling it for like $200 a bottle for people to
Oh
say.
my gosh. I tried, my girlfriend, my sister-in-law actually lent me one of those
Lip plump
lipsticks that
thing.
swell your lips. It itches. That thing itches. It's like, oh, shall I scratch my lips now? They're gonna come off. It was disgusting. It was awesome.
It was disgusting. It was awesome.
I mean, the itching was awful, but you're like, they do plump up like a 2%. And if you can notice, well, hopefully people do too. But
Well, since guys, we've kind of segued onto what we usually would be talking about in our backstage shows, we've kind of left the topic of edibles.
but
On
we're talking about edible, something foods that are edible and things that are like that. So
once we just got onto like makeup tips and stuff, that we had kind of left the field of Wild Chat's animal stuff, and we've kind of entered that realm of just random topics we enjoy talking about on the backstage show. So any of the Patreon subscribers, feel free to jump on over to the backstage show, and we'll. It probably won't be makeup tips. I think we're kind of done with. We've rounded that out, but we never know what we're going to end up talking about over there. Um, but guys, do us a favor, please, and click the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. It's a great way to support the show. We're looking forward to growing the audience a bit and starting some live shows. And it'll probably be just a little while longer. We haven't quite set the number of kind of when we have X amount of subscribers, we'll start doing some live shows because this is just so much more fun when we're able to get the feedback. But again, all the stuff we talked about today, guys, please share your stories in the comments. And as always, any hypothetical questions or any questions or anything we mentioned today in the show, we'll start some nice conversations built around that material in the chats. So you can get that here or get it on YouTube if you're on YouTube to like be part of these community chats, or you can go over to Patreon. It's in a free section. You guys don't have to pay for anything. It's just a great place to kind of get everybody together and start these fun conversations and build the community. As always, guys, we had a phenomenal time doing this. Again, anybody that is subscribed to Patreon, jump on over to the Backstage Show. Check out all the new animal facts videos you guys asked for that we put out. And if there's anything else you guys want us to do, let us know because we are always open to suggestions and have a fun time doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed this really long outro. I know Maria did. She's dancing over like, are you going to hit the off button yet? Jesus, be done already.
Like, you keep looking at it, so I was like, he's gonna be now off. So I'm like, ready.
A little catch up, guys, on everything that we're doing. I don't promote stuff that often, so sometimes when I get on a roll, I get on a roll. But I hope you guys had a great time. I'm clicking the